Hello, everybody. Welcome. I think we're going to give it a couple of minutes to see if we have a few more stragglers coming in.
All right, everybody. Should we go ahead and get started? All right, let's do it. All right. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Manish, and our webinar today is covering loyalty that pays off, designing programs for profitability. And we will also be featuring a behind-the-scenes look at Pretty Litter's loyalty strategy and their program. All right, let me cover who our speakers are today. We are joined today by Leah Grimberg. Leah is the founder and principal at Radical Loyalty. She has 20 years of experience in loyalty and personalized marketing. She's designed and managed programs for the Home Depot, Loblaws, and American Express. My name is Manish. I am the founder and CEO at FriendBuy. I've been in e-commerce now for 20 years, and we at FriendBuy have built loyalty and referral programs for major brands, including Nuuly, Pretty Litter, Bath House, Away, and Walmart. And I studied engineering at MIT, where I got my bachelor's and my master's. A little bit about FriendBuy. We power loyalty and referral programs for the world's leading brands in retail and e-commerce. You can see a snapshot of some of our top tier clients that we've been working with now for many years. And we position ourselves as an enterprise grade solution for loyalty and referral. And we combine cutting edge technology with performance driven expertise. So what are we going to cover today? Well, we'll do a real quick overview of why people invest in loyalty programs. Then I'll hand it over to Leah, and she's going to cover quite a bit of material on how to maximize the profitability of your program. At that point, we'll come back to me, and I will cover the Pretty Litter loyalty program, and then we'll get to a Q&A. So why do people invest in loyalty programs? There are many reasons, but we called out a few of the most important ones here that I think we can all relate to. So especially right now when acquisition costs are rising and brands are being asked to do more with less, it's one of the most effective ways to increase customer lifetime value. When you drive repeat purchases, increase average order value, and reduce churn, you're extending the value of every customer you've already paid to acquire. That's the core financial driver behind a loyalty program. Second, loyalty helps you boost retention and frequency. And this is where the economics can get really compelling. Even a small 5% increase in retention can drive 20 to 40% more profit for e-commerce brands. Let me repeat that. A 5% increase in retention can drive 20 to 40% more profit for an e-commerce brand. And that's because keeping a customer is almost always cheaper and more valuable than acquiring a new one. Third, loyalty is a data engine. It helps you collect valuable customer data, increase email and SMS opt-ins, and activate more personalized, higher performing campaigns. It's a channel that works hand in hand with your lifecycle marketing efforts. And finally, loyalty strengthens brand preferences. It's not just about discounts, it's about creating a connection. A well-established loyalty program can increase net promoter score, build emotional loyalty, and turn your best customers into advocates who then refer friends, buy more often, and stick around longer. So whether your goals are profit, retention, data, or brand equity, loyalty is definitely one of the smarter levers that you can pull. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing and hand it over to Leah.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Manish. I'm going to share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
It's still loading. And there we go.
Amazing. So today we're going to talk a little bit about maximizing the profitability of your loyalty program, meaning we're going to dive fairly deep into how to calculate the profitability from a financial point of view. And this is going to look at the in-year profitability. It's not going to necessarily measure all the things that Manish has talked about, meaning retention, brand advocacy, et cetera. Those are over and above and beyond, and they're notoriously difficult to measure. We're going to focus specifically on the things that your shareholders and your investors and your CFO would care about, which is how do you manage the actual financials of it. And one of the things I wanted to share with you a story before we begin, in that when I joined Sears Canada, I know what it's like for loyalty to be thought of as an afterthought. And skipping to the bad part, Sears Canada didn't perform well. It actually went out of business about a year after I got there. And one of the reasons was it was very disconnected from the customer perspective. Loyalty budget was consistently being cut. The communications were only mass communications. All the systems were disconnected, and we didn't look at a customer holistically. And so Sears became irrelevant to the customer and faced significant silent attrition. The same thing is currently happening at the Bay, where, interestingly enough, I also ended up working. And it's not the only reason why those two businesses are failing, but it certainly doesn't help when you don't put your customer at the center of things and don't build a relationship with them from a loyalty point of view. So what the challenging part is that according to Harvard Business Review, many loyalty programs fail due to poor program economics. Only 35% of organizations surveyed stated that their loyalty program ROI has improved year over year. And that's one of the reasons that we are sharing this webinar and these learnings, is we want to help you measure and then continuously optimize the profitability of your program. Manish has given you a little bit of a glimpse in terms of who I am and why loyalty and personalization is important to me, but I grew up in loyalty. I started there straight out of undergrad and spent more than 20 years growing from assistant manager to divisional vice president across financial services and retail with many big brands like American Express, Home Depot, Air Miles, and then eventually at Sears, Loblaw, and the Bay. Everything having to do with loyalty and personalized marketing. And then 2 years ago, started my own company called Radical Loyalty, where we help organizations get loyal customers, not just any customers. And we help you build loyalty programs and decode the mysteries of customer loyalty. We always start with your data and the insights that your data provides, and we help you build loyalty programs and promotional programs that help you build emotional connections with your customers. So what we're going to cover today is really the nuts and bolts of the financials of the loyalty program world, from benefits to costs and ROI, and then I have something extra for you at the end. And where I would like to direct your attention is the QR code. If I can ask you to scan it, because that will lead you to the return on loyalty calculator, or the tool that we're going to be using today. It's a free tool that's a gift for you, and it's the calculator that's going to be helpful to you to calculate where you stand from a profitability, or help you forecast what your program is going to look like. And we're going to be referring to it throughout the presentation. So before we start with the benefits, a couple of definitions. Two things that we want to keep in mind in terms of benefits is dilutionary and incremental. From our point of view, what dilutionary means is paying your customers for behavior that they're already exhibiting. So For example, if your customer is currently spending $40 a month, and then they join the program and they're still spending $40 a month, but now you're giving them 40 cents in points, that 40 cents is dilutionary. It doesn't seem like much, but multiplied over thousands, hundreds of thousands, and potentially millions of customers, that is a huge investment to give to somebody for something that they're already doing. What you're trying to do instead is trying to drive incremental behavior, meaning over and above something that they would typically do, and that is caused specifically by the program that you currently have in place. So in this case, you have a customer who used to spend $40, but now they're spending $42. So that $2, that's the incrementality that you're going to try to understand. And you want to understand whether that $2 incremental is caused by the program or something else that's going on in the market. So how do you measure incrementality? Because incrementality is really truly what that counts. There are two popular ways of measurement of loyalty programs that are not as effective as the third. The first one is before and after. So in the case where you have a customer who's currently spending $42 and now used to spend $40 and now they're spending $42, you're going to say, Leah, that $2 is incremental. And the answer to that is maybe. There may be other factors that are causing that $2 increase. It could be a decrease in competitive activities. It could be economic factors. It could be something happening in the customer's life. There are other things and reasons that may be causing that $2 increase. What we want to do is strip those away specifically and focus on the amount that's specifically driven by the program. The other metric that you're going to see a lot is member versus non-member. And then you're going to say, yes, but our members are spending 42, our non-members are spending 32. Therefore, that $10 difference, that's the value that the loyalty program is driving. Well, that is unfortunately misleading. The reason for that is because people who join a loyalty program start off being better spenders in the first place. And because they are better spenders, that's why they join the program. It becomes a chicken and egg argument. Because they have an affinity for you, that's why they join the program. People who are not high spenders typically will join somewhere else, not with you. So what's a better way of doing it? The better way of doing it is test versus control. And test versus control, you typically do before you launch the program in market or anytime you have a major change that you want to put in. And how you do that is you create two universes that are randomized, meaning that customers are behaving prior to the test the exact same way. They're spending, call it 40, 30, etc. dollars. They live in similar sizes of communities. They shop at similar type of stores. And then what you want to do is you want to measure how they behave throughout the test period, everything else being equal. And that everything else being equal allows you to measure truly for incrementality. So let's jump to the return on loyalty tool. I hope that everybody has their copy, and if not, it's still available to download. So I've plugged in here some numbers for us, just for example's sake. When you receive yours, these numbers will be blank. Anything in green is where you can input your own numbers. Anything in red is a formula, so I would suggest not touching those. Also, on the right-hand side, you're going to see the instructions in terms of how to use these cells and what needs to be input into each and one of these. However, we're going to walk through them, so hopefully we'll go through all the questions that you may have. So the first line is annual sales. In this case, it's $20 million annual sales. Then you input your gross margin, in this case, 40%. Average number of transactions per customer. In this case, a customer spends 100 times a year. And then the average ticket is $100, which means that we have about 2,000 customers in our database. Then we have estimated the percentage of customers that will be enrolled in the loyalty program. This depends on how you structure your program. In certain cases, everybody's auto-enrolled, which means it's 100%. And in other cases, it's voluntary, so a customer has to complete a form, provide their email, etc., somehow take a step to enroll in the program. If that's the case, a reasonable uptick is between 50 and 70, 75 if you're excellent in terms of penetration. So in this case, we're assuming about a 60% penetration, which means that we have about 1,200 members enrolled in the loyalty program. And because these numbers in green are yours, you can play around and see where the break even could be for you. Then comes the interesting part, and these are the lifts. So this is the incrementals. If you don't touch anything in the column E, what you want to do is you want to determine lifts in number of transactions per customer and in the average ticket. For D2C and retail, anywhere between 2 and 5% lift is a reasonable assumption. In this case, we picked 4% and 5% just to demonstrate what the impact would be. Which means that if you multiply everything through, we have about a $13 million total loyalty sales. The reason we need this number is because this will become a very important number to calculate the cost of our loyalty program. But incremental sales is 1.1 million, about a 5.5% lift, and incremental margin, which is just multiplying 40% margin by the incremental sales, is 441,000. For simplicity's sake, I left this as at zeros, but if you want to have a fee-based program, you can include information here. So percentage of members that are willing to pay a fee, and then what the annual fee would be. Just to keep things simple, we assumed we're not going to have a fee-based component as part of the program. Now, let's go back to our deck. And we'll talk about loyalty costs. For those of you that haven't had a chance to download the loyalty tool, here's the QR code yet again, just another opportunity if you wanted to see it again. Now, let's talk about costs. There are two concepts that are important from a cost point of view. The first is dividend. Dividend is the value that you're giving to the customer, so the reward, but from their point of view. And it's usually calculated or expressed as a percentage of the dollar spent. So in this case, here's an example of a sample program. You spend $1, you get 1 point, and then you can collect 100 points for $1 in reward. In this case, the dividend is 1%. And how you calculate it is that the customer gets $1 reward for every $100 that they spent, which 1 divided by 100 is 1%. And typically dividends range for retail between 0.5% and 2%. And sometimes it's tiered and sometimes it's flat. The other concept is breakage. And breakage is an important concept because that is part of the way that you make money. Because whatever is quote unquote broken goes directly to the bottom line. So that breakage is the percentage of issued points that will never be redeemed. And the reason that they will never be redeemed is there are various. So 2 are due to terms and conditions of your program. So things of like forfeiture. Forfeiture could be if somebody's not in good standing, somebody has not behaved in the way that you want them to, so they forfeit their points. Points expiry is another good one. And then any customer behavior. There are customers who will never ever redeem points. There are customers that will never earn enough to redeem for anything. There are customers that are saving up for something big that they can redeem for in a couple of years. So those are points that are not redeemed. And the way that you calculate breakage, it's not an in-year breakage. You're looking at the lifetime of the program. So if the program has been around for 5 years, you're looking at 5 years worth of data. And how you calculate it is the first number you need to calculate is the ultimate redemption rate. And the ultimate redemption rate is percentage of points that have ever been redeemed divided by the percentage of points that have ever been issued in dollar terms. That gets you the ultimate redemption rate. And breakage is 1 minus the ultimate redemption rate. Breakage goes directly to your bottom line. So typical breakage is about between 25 and 35%. And that goes directly to net profit. Okay. So I know I went through that fairly fast. So the way that you calculate your reward expenses is that you have your dividend, and that's your base. And when I say base, that's the basic promise that you offer to your customers. Spend $1, get a point, plus bonus. A bonus component is fairly important. Typically, customers join your program to get the base dividend, but they stay and they continue driving incrementality and engagement with you because of your promotional programs. And that's the bonus component. So I recommend anywhere between 25 and 30% to budget against your bonus points. So you take all the points that you currently have budgeted, you multiply that by 1 minus the breakage, and then you multiply that by your gross margin. And that allows you to determine how much you're spending on rewards. And if you look at this, it's a pretty substantial percentage of your sales because it's calculated as a percentage of your sales. So that's why it's not atypical for your CFO, for your board, for your investors to look at loyalty and say, wow, this is expensive. And that's because your CFO is not looking at the benefit that loyalty program provides. It only is looking at the cost, which is tempting. There are other expenses. These are the fixed costs of running the program, and that's technology, customer care, marketing, website and app that are dedicated specifically to your loyalty program, any development or maintenance thereof, analytics, whether it's internal or external, and then any employees, partial, fully dedicated, etc., that are allocated to running the loyalty program as well. So let's take a look at our loyalty tool to see how that materializes. So for the purposes of our example, we said our dividend is going to be 1%, our breakage is going to be 35%, and our bonus reward package or budget is 25%, which means that our total reward costs are at $42,600. And then our annual fixed costs, we said we're going to be at 50,000 for technology, 15 for analytics, 15 for marketing, 10 for analytics, 25 for internal resources, and then 10 for web and 5 for app, for a total of fixed cost of 115, for a total cost between rewards and fixed of just under $160,000. And then we calculate ROI. We already knew that our incremental sales are 1.1, incremental margin of 442,000, total cost of 158,000, which means our program contribution, which is upside minus cost of 284, for a return of investment of 180%. So when we go back to our ROI calculation, it's total loyalty program contribution, which is the benefit minus the costs, divided by loyalty program costs, equal return on loyalty. Now, again, wanted to draw your attention to the fact that this is only the financial in-year calculation. It does not include any of the long-term wonderful benefits of the loyalty program, like customer retention, improved promotional response, and brand advocacy. Those are harder to calculate and harder to prove, and also a longer term to prove as well. And then I promised you something extra at the end of my spiel, and that's a gift from me to you, and that's I wanted to provide you with an hour free consultation. So in addition to the return on loyalty calculator that you've downloaded, as you're going through it, you may have some questions in terms of how to use the tool or help plugging in your own numbers. That's something that I can help with, but also, and more importantly, is how do I drive the levers to maximize the profitability? So now that you know all the different components, how do you drive profitability and increase it and continue to optimize it? And so this is the QR code that gets you access directly into my calendar, where you can book yourself an hour of free time that I'm happy to offer to you. And then I'm going to hand it over to my friend Manish, who's going to continue chatting about Pretty Litter.
Awesome. Thanks, Leah. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So thanks again, Leah. Before I get into Pretty Litter, I just want to summarize the really great content that you shared and talk about what I've learned from you in talking about your approach to measuring for profitability. So here's some key takeaways that I've summarized. Um, don't treat loyalty as an expense. If you treat it as an expense, then it's an easy budget item for finance to cut. Measure incrementality, not just activity. And incrementality, there's a methodology to doing that the right way. Calculate true ROI with a focus on incremental margin. And then model your program economics holistically, meaning look at the total benefit as the incremental margin, and then look at the total cost across the range of operations that feed the cost. That would be the rewards, as well as the technology, the marketing, and the staffing. Number five, target at least 100% return for in-year profitability. If you do that, then you set yourself up for long-term success because that does not include the long-term benefits of a loyalty program like increased retention, improved uptake on promotions, and brand advocacy. And then a bonus takeaway, number six, and this is for those of you whose loyalty programs are really growing and expanding. When you're at the right size, you can actually look for ways to expand revenue potential through the loyalty program even further. You can explore things like annual membership fees or strategic partnerships with other brands, which can become a revenue driver for the business, partnering with other brands, as well as if you're really big, co-branded credit cards. So those are my takeaways. Thanks again, Leah. Really appreciate it. And for those of you who want help thinking about loyalty profitability, please reach out to Leah. She's an expert. All right, so now let's get into the Pretty Litter loyalty program. We'll cover their strategy as well as do an overview of the program itself. So let's start with the goals that Pretty Litter had when they launched their loyalty program. There were many goals, but we've summarized a few of the key goals here. First, they wanted to increase retention. I mean, that's what everybody thinks about when we think about a loyalty program. They had a very specific number in mind. They wanted to increase it by a particular percentage amount. And the way to do that is to incentivize retention through the loyalty program, through a bunch of techniques that we'll talk about. But in addition to that, they wanted to acquire customers through referrals because customers acquired through referrals are naturally higher in lifetime value. So that combination is how they set the goal of increasing retention. Number two, they wanted to increase acquisition. Now, increasing acquisition is actually primarily about getting more brand advocacy through a referral program. And through their referral program, they wanted to test referral offers, run referral campaigns, and expand refer a friend visibility through omni-channel touchpoints. So there are a number of best practices that we recommend to achieve that omni-channel presence. Number three, increase email and SMS collection rate. Now, this is something that as marketers, we all want more of. We want more emails, we want more phone numbers. So pretty obvious, reward your customers for subscribing. Give them an auto pop message saying, give me your phone number, and you'll get loyalty points for doing that. And then this last one here is kind of the holistic point of view that Pretty Litter takes, which is keep our customers in the Pretty Litter ecosystem. Pretty Litter wants to deepen engagement by keeping customers within the Pretty Litter ecosystem over time. This goes beyond just getting people to stick with their subscription. Pretty Litter's team is thinking holistically about the customer journey. They want to reward pet parents not just for buying litter, but for being part of a broader lifestyle around total pet health. That includes cross sells like toys, treats, and accessories, as well as educational touch points. The idea is to reward participation in the full experience, not just transactions. As Pretty Litter puts it, it's not just about the litter, it's about your cat's health and well being. What can we do to really enhance that? Loyalty in this case becomes the glue. It creates what they called stickiness by encouraging behaviors that keep customers exploring more of what Pretty Litter has to offer. Let's take a moment to look at how Pretty Litter's tech stack supports their loyalty program behind the scenes. One of the things that their team emphasized was the importance of tech stack cohesion, especially with a small marketing team. They need to scale personalized experiences without relying on manual workflows, which are cobbled together and then ultimately have to be maintained. So every component here is connected to drive loyalty through automation and smart segmentation. With Klaviyo and FriendBuy, Pretty Litter is able to automate all kinds of loyalty touchpoints, things like milestone achievements, redemption reminders, and win-back flows. For example, when a customer earns a new reward, Klaviyo sends an automated message celebrating that milestone. If a customer hasn't redeemed their points, they'll get a gentle reminder. And if someone cancels their subscription, they'll receive a personalized win-back offer that reflects their status within the loyalty program. This is all powered by FriendBuy's event-based segmentation, so messages feel timely and relevant, not generic. Recharge and FriendBuy together make it possible for subscribers to redeem their loyalty points for free products or discounts that auto-apply to their next renewal. No codes, no friction. So no friction in terms of having to redeem a code and then apply it to a portal separately. It's all handled automatically. It's a seamless experience that keeps customers moving forward in the subscription lifecycle. Pretty Litter also uses this integration to automate milestone rewards. For example, a credit at the third renewal or a surprise product on the sixth. These moments of delight reward longevity and reduce churn. Finally, Digio and FriendBuy power personalized experiences by rewarding customers for sharing their preferences and profile data, whether that's filling out a cat personality quiz or updating their subscription settings. This data unlocks future campaigns. For example, Pretty Litter can use quiz responses to segment customers by pet behavior, product preferences, or lifestyle, and then deliver tailored offers and messaging based on those traits. So it's a great example of how a loyalty program isn't just reactive, it's proactive, guiding customers towards deeper engagement. Altogether, this tech stack allows Pretty Litter to run a high-performing loyalty program with very lean resources by automating reward delivery, tailoring communication, and creating moments that keep subscribers engaged over time. Pretty Litter also used loyalty surveys to improve program performance through customer feedback. A strong loyalty program doesn't have to be static. It should evolve and improve over time. Surveys can help guide that evolution. Customer feedback isn't just about preferences. It helps uncover blind spots and drive meaningful improvements in awareness, UX, value perception, and redemptions. There are many types of surveys that help with loyalty strategy, and here I've outlined 4 key surveys that Pretty Litter used to refine everything from messaging cadence to reward design. So we have a program awareness survey, which just measures overall visibility and understanding of the program. Earning experience, which measures how clearly customers understand earning mechanics, uncovers any friction points there. Redemption experience captures feedback on how easy and how worthwhile it is to redeem points. And then finally, reward preferences helps prioritize rewards based on customer demand and perceived value. Together, these surveys create a continuous feedback loop, helping to refine, personalize, and improve a loyalty program as it scales. So now let's take a look at the program itself. So here as a customer, I can see all of my ways to earn. You can see that they are telling me that I'll receive 25 points with each quarterly delivery. Plus, I can earn additional points by completing various actions. And I've outlined here some of the most important actions that matter to Pretty Litter's business. For example, points for adding a new pet to your subscription, or points for upgrading from the monthly plan to the quarterly plan. Cross sells are a big deal, as we talked about with keeping customers in the ecosystem. So you can see here 10 points for purchasing a SKU, 10 points for purchasing a litter box, 50 points if you add a new food subscription. So really great ways to educate your customers that you have additional SKUs and hopefully get them to take action. Points for completing a quiz or a profile. They actually have two of those here. Here's the cat quiz on the left, and on the bottom here is the cat profile. These quizzes and profile collection, as we talked about, they're not just for fun. They're actually really powerful data aggregators to inform future marketing campaigns. And then obviously points for SMS opt-in, as we talked about earlier. Let's take a look at how the quiz works. So if I simply say I'd like to take this quiz and I click, it fires up the quiz, which is powered by Digio. And then that data is used to personalize each subscriber's experience, inform future marketing strategy based on the cohorts that you can determine by analyzing that data, as well as iterating on the loyalty program itself. So we just covered how they have action-based rewards, but Pretty Litter actually has a hybrid loyalty program that combines action-based with milestone-based rewards. And you can actually see here everything that they've laid out. They've created their cohorts for milestones, as seen here. Months 1 through 3 are considered a new fan. 4 through 7 are brand loyalists, and then anyone that reaches 8 months or later becomes a litter lifer. And then you can see the different rewards that they've allocated on the bottom row over here. So this is designed to keep subscribers engaged at every milestone. It's a really elegant way to maintain continuity and help with retention. And then, as I articulated earlier, the redemption is seamless. When you redeem a product such as a free litter box, it arrives automatically with your next subscription. Nothing is shipped separately. So now that we've taken a look at the program structure, let's talk about engagement. Engagement is just as important as the initial strategy and the underlying structure that you deploy. This slide highlights some of the key loyalty flows Pretty Litter has implemented. Each one is automated and personalized to support retention, engagement, and customer delight. These flows are triggered by real-time events and behaviors, and they're all fully integrated into Pretty Litter's tech stack. Number 1 is a quarterly redemption reminder. If a customer has 50 or more points, they automatically receive an email nudging them to redeem. It's a gentle way to keep the program top of mind and ensure points don't go unused. Number 2 is milestone achieved. Whenever a customer hits a subscription milestone, like a 3rd or 6th renewal, they get a personalized message letting them know what reward they've unlocked. These moments feel celebratory and reinforce the value of staying subscribed. Number 3, upcoming order. If a reward is available right before a customer's next shipment, Pretty Litter adds that detail into the upcoming order reminder. It's a nice way to create anticipation, as well as a smart way to reduce churn, just in case that customer may be considering a pause or a cancellation. Number 4, points expiring. This flow is all about urgency. When points are about to expire, customers receive a targeted message encouraging them to redeem before they lose earned rewards. Number five, cat birthday and anniversary. Pretty Litter uses profile data to celebrate pet birthdays or anniversaries with bonus points. It creates a feel-good moment that's emotionally resonant and very on brand for them. And then finally, if a customer cancels their subscription, they enter a win-back flow. Pretty Litter offers to preserve their reward status so they don't lose progress. It's a nice incentive to get customers to come back without starting over. Together, these flows show how a loyalty program can touch every part of the customer journey, not just the transaction. They reinforce value, celebrate milestones, and create emotional connection, all while driving measurable business outcomes. So let's take a look at some of these actual emails. Here's the rewards program announcement, the VIP invite, where they reached out to a cohort of their longest standing customers, asking them to join the beta testing group. And then here's the welcome email after someone opts in to become a VIP. You can see that they add some really nice product imagery to show what people can benefit from, a CTA to start earning points, a nice thank you message, really emphasizing the importance that they place on their longstanding customers and telling them how many points they've earned just by joining. Here's the classic referral reminder as part of the new VIP program. Obviously, the goal of a referral program is to get more customers, but when you market to your VIPs, the idea is that maybe we can get more customers who look just like our VIPs. So tapping into that cohort and asking them to refer a friend is a very powerful tactic in terms of identifying your best customers and getting them to refer friends who look like them. And then here is the our examples of a double points campaign. So double points campaigns tend to perform really well. They're proven to increase engagement, and we've seen that with Pretty Litter. In this case, you've got a couple of examples of earn double points for buying pet food or earn double points for shopping toys and accessories. Again, promoting the cross-sell capabilities that Pretty Litter has of keeping customers in the ecosystem. Finally, here's a standard newsletter, and this time they're able to now incorporate dynamically the amount of points that you have. Again, maintaining that continuity, letting you know that you are a VIP who has points that can be spent on various rewards. So those are some examples of the emails that they use. Finally, here is the loyalty dashboard. So as a customer, I can see in my dashboard the points balance that I currently have, my points activity, what I've done to earn points, and then all of the possibilities that I have in front of me for redeeming my points for rewards. A nice way to promote the different SKUs that Pretty Litter has. If I am qualified for a reward, it will no longer be grayed out, and then I can simply redeem it by clicking redeem. And then as we talked about earlier, it gets auto-applied to my next shipment. Pretty Litter wanted to lean into free product, free gifts as rewards because it served two purposes. One was to introduce customers to new SKUs, but also it avoided the feeling of being discount heavy, which overall is better for margin protection. So that's the Pretty Litter program. Let's talk about what's next for Pretty Litter, specifically receipt scanning. This is a powerful new capability that we just released here at FriendBuy, and it's getting a lot of attention from our loyalty clients who are omni-channel. This capability lets Pretty Litter identify and engage customers who shop at third-party retailers like Target or Walmart simply by having them upload receipts. For omnichannel brands, this solves a major challenge. You rarely get a 360 view of the customer. Someone might cancel or pause their online subscription, but still pick up Pretty Litter at Target, and that's actually okay. The goal here isn't to rechannel customers back to DDC, it's to keep them in the ecosystem. With receipt scanning, Pretty Litter can continue rewarding those customers and stay top of mind. and it opens up new opportunities for targeted marketing. If Pretty Litter sees that a cohort tends to shop at Target on Saturdays, they can send a timely reminder or incentive that Friday. That kind of insight creates real behavioral lift. To hear Pretty Litter say it, receipt scanning wasn't just a data play, it was a win back mechanism. And then lastly, here is a really exciting feature that we've recently released for referral. It is referral via QR codes. So as a customer, I can now add my referral QR code to my Apple Wallet or to my Google Wallet. So if I want to refer a friend, no longer do I have to send them a text with a link or send them an email through going to my account dashboard and finding the referral program. I'll have my QR code right there in my phone, and I can just show it to them. They can scan the QR code and unlock whatever benefit they're going to get, and I'll get the referral reward for referring that friend. And that concludes our look at Pretty Litter. So as a recap, FriendBuy powers loyalty and referral programs for retail and e-commerce brands. If any of you are thinking about restructuring a loyalty program or launching one from scratch, we would love to hear from you. So thanks everybody for attending today. We will now head into the Q&A portion. If you want to reach out to us, my email address is manish@friendbuy.com and Leah's is lgrimberg@radicalloyalty.com. It's our pleasure to do this today, and our plan is to do a lot more of these to talk about loyalty programs, strategy, tactics, case studies of what top brands are doing to increase loyalty and retention. So we hope you'll keep an eye out. If there's any topics that you would like us to cover going forward, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll make a note of them and line those up for future webinars as well. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing now and we will get into the Q&A. If anybody has questions, you can put them into the chat. Alternatively, you could raise your hand and I'd be happy to call on you. And in case there's a little bit of silence, then I've also got some prepared questions that I can go into. So I'll give it a second to see if anybody has anything.